Okay, so like, you know how when we look at maps, we think of them as pretty much like set in stone?
Yeah.
Well, today we're going to dive into a situation where that's like totally not the case.
Interesting.
So get this, the Gulf of Mexico, the one
Huh.
down there by
All
Mexico.
right.
Some people are trying to rename it
All right.
to the Gulf of America.
Wow, like the whole thing.
Yeah, and it's causing a whole lot of, well, controversy, to say the least.
I bet.
We've got an article here from the Associated Press
Okay.
that really digs into the nitty-gritty
Interesting.
of this whole name change debacle.
Sounds juicy.
So basically what we want to do today is figure out, like, what are the facts behind this whole name change thing?
Yeah.
Like, who's behind it? What are their motivations? And really, like, why is this even a big deal?
Yeah, why all the fuss over a name?
Right.
It's just a name, right?
Exactly. But as we're going to see, it's way more than that.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So first things first, right? The name Gulf of America, that was, well, it was kind of thrown out there by former President Trump.
Oh, wow. So this has been going on for a while.
Yeah, it's not exactly breaking news, but it's back in the headlines because things are heating up.
I see.
And Mexico, well, let's just say they're not on board with this whole Gulf of America thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't be either.
They're saying it's a violation of their sovereignty. And they're even talking about taking legal action.
Against who?
Believe it or not, Google.
Google, what did they do?
Well, they're kind of caught in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Because they want to, like, reflect what people are searching for, and some people are using the new name.
Right.
So what they're doing is they're showing different names depending on where you are in the world.
Oh, so like different maps for different folks?
Exactly. So if you're in the U.S., you see Gulf of America.
Okay.
If you're in Mexico, you see Gulf of Mexico.
Makes sense.
But get this, if you're anywhere else in the world, they're showing it as Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America.
Wow, that's kind of messy.
Yeah, it's a real head scratcher.
It really shows you how tricky it is for these tech companies to stay neutral in these kinds of disputes.
For sure, they're walking on eggshells.
Totally.
So anyway, back to Mexico.
Yeah.
Their argument is that the name Gulf of Mexico has been around for centuries.
It's pretty well established.
Exactly. And it's the name recognized by the United Nations.
Makes sense.
Plus, they point out that the U.S. doesn't even control the majority of the Gulf.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the U.S. controls like 46%.
Okay.
Mexico controls 49%.
So more than the U.S.
Yep. And then Cuba controls a little sliver, about 5%.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, most people don't.
Interesting.
So for Mexico, this is about more than just the name on a map.
Yeah, it's about their history, their identity.
Right, and their right to have a say in what happens in their own backyard.
Exactly. Sovereignty.
Exactly.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah, and this whole thing is just adding fuel to the fire in terms of U.S.-Mexico relations.
Right, things are already pretty tense.
Oh, for sure, with all the talk about trade and tariffs and immigration.
The delicate balance.
Yeah, and Mexico's president is trying to walk a fine line here.
Yeah, I can imagine.
He wants to maintain a good relationship with the U.S.
Sure, who wouldn't?
But he also can't just let them rename part of his country.
Right, you gotta stand your ground.
Exactly.
So what's the latest? Are they actually gonna sue Google?
Well, that's still up in the air,
Hmm.
but they're definitely putting pressure on him.
I bet.
And it's not just Mexico that's pushing back.
Oh,
The Associated Press, they're the ones who wrote this article.
right.
Well, they've been using the name Gulf of Mexico in their
Uh-huh.
reporting.
Yeah.
And guess what?
What?
The White House barred them from press events because of it.
Oh, wow. Seriously?
Yep. They're saying it's disrespectful to use the wrong name.
That's pretty heavy-handed.
Right. And a lot of people are saying it's a violation of press freedom.
Yeah, I mean, the press should be able to report on things accurately without fear of reprisal.
Exactly. And other news organizations are backing up the AP on this,
Good for them.
like the White House Correspondents Organization and even the New York Times.
Wow, so this is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it's raising a lot of questions about freedom of the press and the power of the government to control the narrative.
Absolutely. It's a slippery slope.
So, yeah, this whole Gulf of America thing, it's really blown up into something much bigger than just a name change.
Yeah, it's become a symbol of all sorts of things.
Right. It's about sovereignty, international relations, freedom of the press.
Power dynamics for sure.
And it's got everyone talking about what other things might be vulnerable to this kind of manipulation.
Right, if they can change the name of the Gulf, what else can they change?
Exactly. And that's something we should all be thinking about.
Absolutely, we got to stay vigilant, question everything.
Right. Because who knows what they'll try to rename next.
Yeah, good point. And it really underscores how important it is to get our information from a variety of sources and to be critical of everything we read and hear.
Absolutely. We can't just take things at face value anymore.
Nope. Got to dig deeper, think for ourselves.
Exactly. And that's what we're all about here on The Deep Dive.
Love it. Keep it real.
Always.
Well, this has been fascinating.
Yeah, it's a wild one, for sure.
So just to bring it all home, what do you think the main takeaway from all this is for our listeners?
Mm. I think the biggest thing is that we can't be complacent. We have to be aware of what's going on in the world and question everything.
Yeah, I'd second that complacency is the enemy.
Totally. And we have
Oh,
to be willing to speak up when we see something that's not right.
absolutely. Silence is complicity.
Exactly. So stay informed, stay engaged, and stay skeptical,
Words to live by.
for sure.
Well, on that note, I'm going to leave our listeners with one final thought to chew on.
Okay, hit me.
If a name on a map can be so easily manipulated and become a tool for political power, just imagine what that means for the rest of the information we consume every day.
Whoa, that's deep.
Right? What else are we being told that might not be the whole truth or might be spun in a certain way to benefit someone's agenda?
Man, that's scary.
It is, but it's also a call to action. We can't just sit back and let ourselves be passively fed information. We got to be active participants in the search for truth.
Absolutely well said.
Thanks for having me on. It's been a real eye-opener.
You too. Thanks for sharing your insights.
Anytime, keep up the good work.
Will do until next time.
See ya.
Bye.